You know what nobody tells you? The scariest part of pursuing a business isn't the personal financial risk. It's this fear that if you get it wrong, the people you love most are going to pay the price. Now, I've carried that fear myself. When I became a dad, that responsibility hit me in a way I wasn't prepared for, and it's changed how I thought about every decision I've made since. Because of that fear, a lot of people try and handle this idea of exploration of a business ownership opportunity in their own heads. They don't want to worry their spouse until they have more clarity. They don't want to disrupt the family rhythm. So they get on Google at 11 o'clock and they're scrolling listings on their phone and they're wrestling with all these what ifs alone. But here's the part you may not realize: what our families need to feel secure usually isn't the money. So I've learned this the hard way in my own company, and I'll tell you a story about it. Years ago, we were exploring this idea of launching a payroll service bureau. It was a big strategic move, and instead of involving my team early, I tried to protect them from more work. Now, I knew they were busy, and I did not want to throw more things on their plate. And so I took this whole thing on myself. I interviewed the clients, I talked to the vendors, I built these financial models. I spent months shaping this plan on my own, thinking I was doing everyone this big favor by keeping it off their plates. And then I brought it to my leadership team, and boom, it hit like a thud. It did not land well. It was pushback, confusion, frustration. And looking back, it makes total sense because my thinking had evolved over months. Theirs hadn't. They were hearing everything for the first time. They hadn't been a part of the conversations I was having. They didn't know the assumptions I had already tested. So when I show up with this 95% finished plan, it felt like it came out of nowhere. It created friction. It slowed everything down. And honestly, it really hurt some of these relationships I cared most about at work. In trying to protect my team, I'd actually excluded them. And that's what created all this tension. Now, my guess is you've probably been in that position yourself, where you were at a company, leadership announces this big decision, and you hear about it late or maybe not at all. But it impacted you. Maybe it changed your role, maybe it added work or shifted your priorities. And even if the decision technically was the right one, it probably didn't feel good because you weren't part of the process. You didn't feel considered. And instead of leaning in, you actually felt this need or this desire to resist the change. The reality is people impacted by a decision feel marginalized when they aren't involved in the process of making that decision. And that's true whether it's at work or whether it's at home. So to solve this in my company, we have developed a proposal process. And it's simple. Whoever owns a decision puts together a simple proposal, not some 40-page business plan or a pitch deck. It's just a short document, answers a handful of questions so that the key people impacted can understand what are you trying to do and why. Now, this proposal doesn't mean that everyone has to agree or that everyone gets it a vote. What it does mean is that people affected by a decision get a voice, and they get it early, and they get it before we've made any major commitments. Now, I think you can use this idea of a proposal at home to force yourself to get clear and bring your family into the conversation. And so I've taken our proposal process and I've modified it. I've modified it to fit what might be more relevant in terms of the questions you'd answer for a family audience as opposed to a work audience. I'm going to go ahead and drop a link to it in the description below. You're going to see, if you click on the link, that it's just asks you a few basic questions as the person making the proposal. Things like, what do you want? Why does it matter? What's your current situation look like? What might the risks be? How are you going to test this out or explore it? Now, I found proposals offer two big benefits. The first one for me is it forces me to get clear on my thinking, because often the hesitation I have in sharing ideas with other people, and this is especially true with my family, is that I'm not actually totally clear on what I'm trying to say, and a proposal forces me to be more clear there. The second is a proposal gives people something to react to, something that your family can give you feedback on. Now, I have been in conference rooms for hours debating hypothetical ideas and situations of what we might do, why it might matter. And I can tell you things go so much faster when someone actually takes the lead to do the hard thinking about the trade-offs, the opportunities, look at the risks, and actually put those down in a way where other people that are impacted or that have knowledge that's relevant can react to it. Then everyone has something they can ask questions about, they can poke holes in. The great thing about a proposal is that you can modify it, right? I can guarantee you, because this has been true every time I've given a proposal, there has been some piece of feedback that has changed something about the proposal. Now, More than 90% of the time, it doesn't actually change the key decision, but it does add nuance. It might add nuance to a risk I hadn't considered, or an approach that I wasn't thinking about, or a way to think about an implementation plan that hadn't been a top of mind for me. But you will get value and you will end up with a better plan when you expose it to other people that can help you with that. And I believe this process can work at home too. In fact, it might even matter more at home because the relationships there are even more important. Just like your coworkers, your spouse wants to feel considered. And depending on their age, that might actually matter for your kids too, right? They want context, they want understanding, not just what you're thinking, but how you're thinking, why you want to do what you're doing. I can promise for most of you, your families want to support your dreams, but they're going to struggle with the same types of fear and uncertainty, just like you do. So bring them along for the journey, and bring them along not by sheltering them from the uncertainty, but by giving them a seat at the table, doing it early, so that your exploration can become something that you navigate together, not navigate alone and then give to them. As usual, if you got value from this video, please like it, send it to someone you think it might benefit. And my wish for you is that you find conviction, either the conviction to move forward towards your dreams, or recognize that you need to modify your dream in some way to get what you really want. So best of luck and cheers. Happy holidays, y'all.